Volume of revenue. Identifying the sources and channels of revenue is not enough. The volume of revenue must also be evaluated. For a business, one talks about its turnover. With the sources of revenue component, the idea is to explain how the turnover is generated. With the volume of revenue component, the idea is to explain how much is made. This is a particularly difficult task when creating a business from scratch. For an existing business, the estimate of the future turnover can be based on past knowledge of the company's activity and its markets. For a new business, this is much more difficult. Traditionally, when drafting a business plan, one has to estimate the turnover per source, and often over a period of 3 years following the company's launch. An entrepreneur generally has to make 3 hypotheses of how turnover will evolve over this 3-year period. One that he believes to be the most likely scenario, a pessimistic hypothesis, and finally an optimistic yet realistic one. Should this be integrated as part of the design of a business model too? One may answer both yes and no. Answering yes encourages this process of estimation because it throws light on many other questions relevant to the design of the business model. For example, what will our competitors' reaction be if we corner the expected market share? If the market is new, will the number of converted consumers be enough? Is the production capacity sufficient to achieve estimated sales targets? In the case of an original business model, will the funders play the game? The answers to these questions often involve several components of the business model. In other words, estimating turnover involves studying the links between these components. Answering no amounts to recognizing that some business models are difficult to assess in these terms. Entrepreneurs who choose to reply in the negative should be aware of 2 things. First, the larger the amounts requested during fundraising, the more this estimation of turnover demonstrates both the ambition of the project and the desire to control it in the future. Although several fundraising phases over time help drive the project forward, but this takes us to the next point. As time passes, the partners are more and more entitled to expect this effort of estimation to be made. The project is a gamble, but it must nevertheless be designed according to methods of evaluation that make it possible to estimate future turnover. Some projects that need little investment and which are not very risky can of course be launched and re-evaluated from one day to the next. Other projects, such as an innovative company created from a process where research has created added value, or any new business in a new sector, are much more difficult to evaluate in terms of future turnover. Therefore, there must come a time for this kind of estimation. Even if it seems speculative, the sooner the better, since these estimations help convince potential partners. And isn't that the goal? Before closing this chapter, let's not forget that nonprofit organizations conduct estimations of their revenue when they organize fundraising events, paying particular attention to non-financial criteria such as the level of satisfaction of users and members. This attention to detail will attract the attention of institutions that may provide grants to cover running costs, patronage, and sponsoring.